Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the February 5th Public Works Committee Albany County Legislature Public Works Committee meeting, which was rescheduled from January 29th due to the snow event that we had. There have been some rather substantial changes to the committee from 2018. Vicki Plotsky used to be the vice chair of the committee. Vicki is now the chair of the law committee. Chris Smith is the vice chair of the committee. Chris called me last night. He has a very important local town board meeting in his district tonight that he felt the need to be at, and I told him that we would miss him, but I don't think we had anything too controversial on the agenda, but he is out doing his work in the district tonight. And there were, I guess, only 3 of us that were members of the Public Works Committee in 2018, and that is myself and Joe O'Brien and Paul Miller. And I think everyone... I don't think you were...
In 18 that was.
In 18, but I don't think you're on now. You're still a welcome participant as a.
I get to find out what committee.
I hate to be the bearer of news, but it wasn't on the list that I got. And we have new folks on the committee: John Frainer, Charlie Cal, Pete Tunney, Frank Moriello, and Mert Simpson. So I think what I'd like to do is have everybody, including the staff, go around the room and explain who they are and where their district is or what they do in a staff function. So the new members of the committee might, we'll start with you, Curtis.
Okay. My name is Curtis Kennedy. I work in the majority's office, so I work for y'all. So if you need something, just call the majority's office if you need anything.
Do I get to speak?
Absolutely, you always get to speak.
So I'm Bill Reinhardt. I represent parts of Bethlehem and New Scotland. I used to enjoy being on this committee. I'll find out soon. But anyway, this good committee does a lot of important work.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Freer. I represent part of the city of Cohoes in the 17th district.
Mert Simpson, 2nd District, Arbor Hill, West Hill, Sheridan Howell.
Pete Tunney, 22nd District. I'm in the northwestern part of Colony, bordering the town of Niskayuna. Airport, over.
I'm Arnes Zilgman, counsel for the minority.
Paul Miller, County Legislator, 32nd District, Town of Gilliland, the eastern end of town.
Charlie Cal from Town of Gilliland, 30th District.
Frank Moriello, County Legislator, 27th District, representing the southwest corner of the town of Colony.
Joe O'Brien, representing the 25th District. My district includes Loudonville and West Albany.
Brandon Russell, Deputy Majority Counsel.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much, and let's get on with our agenda. Now, we have a set of minutes from our last meeting. Have the members,
We do not. Due to the fact that this committee is, while it has the same name as the previous committee, it is a newly established committee. There are no previous minutes for approval.
Okay.
So even though the last Public Works Committee...
The last Public Works Committee minutes will be sent to all the previous members for the Public Works Committee just for their comment and approval, and then they'll be included in the record. But because the way the resolution operated, those 2 committees were disbanded, and then this committee was established. Later, it was renamed to the Public Works Committee.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So for those of us who are on the Public Works Committee, there'll be 2 sets of minutes to review next month. Okay, with that, the first order of business is local law U, but I believe we are going to hold that because 2 reasons. The public notice, the public hearing has not been held. It was called for by the law committee, and also we generally do not act on an agenda item unless a sponsor or co-sponsor of the legislation is here. So we will, do we need a motion to hold this, or?
It's just tabled. Tabled by sponsor.
Tabled by the sponsor. Okay. Number 2, who's authorizing an agreement with the town of Bethlehem regarding the Albany County Shared Services Property Tax Savings Plan? Mr. Luke Rogers from the County Executive's Office is presenting.
Good evening, Chairman. Welcome, new members of the committee. So, just for a little bit of background, in 2018, the County Executive's Office submitted our annual shared services plan, which is a plan required by the governor's shared services initiative. We were tasked as a county to work with all of the interested municipalities within the county to develop initiatives that, through shared services, would result in the end goal of reduced property taxes. So that's the general. One of these initiatives was a shared specialty equipment initiative, where essentially interested municipalities would be able to enter into agreements to, in specific instances where there would be savings, share specialty equipment, whether it's a certain mower or a certain cherry picker is an example we've used in the past, that would allow, when the alternative would be going out and purchasing this for a one-off or two-off use, or potentially renting equipment at a more expensive rate. There are opportunities for savings through collaboration with our municipalities within the county. So specifically, this agenda item is requesting authorization to enter into a contract with the town of Bethlehem to share specialty equipment on select occasions where it is deemed appropriate by the Commissioner of DPW or DGS and their appropriate counterpart in the town. We obviously will work with our attorneys and their attorneys to make sure all appropriate insurance issues are dealt with, and that any liability concerns are dealt with. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to go into any legalese because I don't know if I'll get it right, but that is something that, if we're authorized to enter into agreement, we will negotiate all of those items. The key here is, in this 2019 year, any shared services that we document, and you need an agreement in place to be able to document, will be eligible for a 50% match from New York State government. We're often asked to cooperate on shared services and do more with less, but the state doesn't always provide that incentive, so we appreciate that they've done that in this case, and but the clock is ticking essentially, because this match will apply for any shared services, and in this case, equipment sharing in this calendar year.
I have a couple of questions, but questions from the members first? Nobody. I had the opportunity to talk to Mr. McLaughlin, because while in many instances, I think this is the first agreement that we may have had with the municipality for shared services to document potential savings. I know from my conversations with DPW in the past that there's a great deal of shared services that has happened on an informal basis around the county. Is there some thought that these informal arrangements will now be able to be captured so that any savings can potentially be reimbursed to the county? Is this a template where we can see potentially more of these in the future? So it's not a one-off for Bethlehem?
No, in Bethlehem's case, I would say they expressed the most urgency in wanting to get going on this, so this is the first time we're requesting authorization, obviously from the legislature, but I would anticipate there would be future opportunities. Certainly other municipalities have expressed interest, so. In addition, this is the first that the county has entered in with the municipality. I do know there are a few municipalities in the county, so specifically Green Island, Cohoes, that actually Troy is involved. They have an existing agreement for some shared services that goes back years, so there is a bit of a template there. This is our bringing it under the umbrella of the shared services to get that match eligibility. But to answer your question succinctly, yes, we expect more.
Okay, that's good. And then that's what so we may be seeing these on a regular basis, either at this committee or in some other jurisdiction if it's appropriate. Okay, and any questions, any comments from the folks from Bethlehem that are on the committee or here in
Only
spirit?
that we're always looking for savings and operation arrangements that work for both parties. One point I do want to make, though, that I think you might have been asking, Paul, but I'm not completely sure just now. The prior informal shared savings, correct me if I'm wrong, Luke, but I don't think we would be able to take credit for things that happened in prior years under those informal arrangements in terms of the state's plan.
Yeah, not from a
It has
match
to be-
perspective. It has to be calendar year 2019, yeah.
So you'll be, but the bottom line is the administration is looking across the platform to see if there are other savings we can identify, document, and be reimbursed for, even ones that go beyond the shared services report. Great. Any other questions or comments?
Just so everybody knows, that is generally the rule, but the state has been less than forthcoming with details related to the rules about the match. So while Luke is correct that they want these formal agreements, we are going to take any documentation that is received from a municipality, whether it be with the county or between other municipalities, and send it to the state for match, because as far as we're concerned, the onus should be on them to deny the localities that they say should be sharing services and have been sharing services for, frankly, decades, to reject those requests, as opposed to us limiting ourselves to a potential income stream.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
So moved by Mr. Moriello, seconded by Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Number 3, Commissioner, good morning, or good evening, Commissioner, I'm sorry.
Hi, Chairman.
Thank you. Why don't you introduce yourself to the members of the committee who may not know you, Commissioner Raimondo.
Yeah, Commissioner Raimondo at Albany County Department of Public Works. I've been there for a little over 2 years now, so it's nice to see you all, new faces. And some old.
All right, well, this item is authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Capital District Transportation Committee regarding the 155, 157 Waterville Shaker Road Phase 3 project next to CDTC, and I think the Commissioner knows that that may be a project that is near and dear to a number of people's hearts in this room. You have 4 legislators sitting around this table whose districts take up some part of Shaker Road, Mr. Tunney, Mr. Moriello, Mr. O'Brien, and myself. And do we have any documentation we're changing on this?
We do, yes. We've since updated the estimate, so when this letter was entered into the system, we had an estimate of $3.4 million. During the process, we're allowed to review our application, and if we find anything we may have missed, we can amend it up until a certain point. And so I do have a new estimate, and the estimate is 4.971 million, and that will be taken into account when the resolution is drawn up. And I have copies. I didn't know how many copies to make, but I do have them if anybody would like to see them.
I don't know, what's your pleasure? Should we circulate them?
And these are very, and it is a preliminary estimate for the
Okay.
purposes of grant application.
Could you explain what the change to the project was and
Sure.
the scope of the project?
Sure. Well, in general, the scope of the project reconstructs the final section of Waterville Shaker Road from New Carner Road to Sand Creek Road. The cross-section of the new roadway is to be determined. It could either be a 3-lane roadway or a 4-lane roadway. That will be determined during the design process. We noted that when we were going through our estimate, that there was a portion near Memory Gardens and a couple of other locations where the people have their property where retaining walls will be necessary. And they were mistakenly omitted from our estimate. So once we put the additional cost for the retaining walls, and then different like surcharges for, like, you know, say the retaining walls cost an extra $600,000. Well, other items go up in the price, not just the retaining wall. There's cost factors for design, maintenance, protection of traffic, various other things that bump that cost up to much more than what the actual wall cost. So, for the most part, it's due to retaining walls.
So you are gonna shave that hill down, that does come down?
It will be, it won't be shaved, it would be retained. Well, cut,
I mean, the
yes.
road character itself will be, this was planned 10 or 15 years ago, and part of that plan was to lower that hill. Is that-
Right now, I couldn't say. The
Okay.
design isn't done, but for sure, just to get the extra width, we're going to have to cut into certain properties.
Commissioner, could you hand those around, or?
Sure.
Whatever you have, at least get a couple of them up to the table so that folks can look on.
Yep.
And it's my understanding that one of the things you've been doing over the last couple of years is you have, Albany County now owns the necessary right-of-way in that corridor.
Yes, that's good to note, because that makes the project more attractive from a grant application standpoint. So right-of-way is not necessary, and so it gives the project more viability, because sometimes it can take a while for right-of-way to happen. Acquisition, I should say, right-of-way.
Mr. Moriello.
Commissioner, we met a month ago, and we were discussing doing a study, a traffic study at those intersections. Is that going to be part of this grant to do those studies at Waterville Shaker, New Carner, Villi, and even the intersection at Old Villi Road and Waterville Shaker?
Yes, if we get the grant, traffic studies would be all part of the design process. That would be the case.
And we'll be looking at improvements to those intersections to facilitate the flow of traffic through there?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner, obviously you see the interest here.
Yeah.
There are 3 districts that come together at that one intersection.
That's it.
Of Carter Road and Shaker
Tim just wanted to make copies.
and what turns into the Shaker extension. Can you give us a sense, you were meeting with CDTC to talk about where this fits into the priority of funding and potential timeframe? Did you get any further illumination on that?
Yeah, we were hopeful that we would learn that whether or not we get an award in June. So that's the time frame they've given us, June.
Would they then tell you would have X number of dollars in year 1, X number of dollars in year 2? Would they parcel out the amount and the phased nature of the funding, or?
Well, I think what they do is they award us the amount that we're asking for if we're chosen, and then it's our duty to put together the design phase and construction inspection costs, and then the actual construction costs. So we have to bond for the money ourselves up front, and so, you know, they must hold the money somewhere. It's not like they give it to us. We pay out of our pockets first, and then we get reimbursed for 80% of what the total project cost is. So, I don't believe, you know, I think once you're awarded the project, they don't take away money.
Okay. Assuming from the point in time where you're notified of an award, any idea how long a design schedule would be, and a bidding schedule, and a construction schedule? I mean, it's obviously years.
Right. Well, I mean, the design, theoretically, once we know, we could put together an RFP for a design consultant. And, you know, putting together an RFP could take a month or so. Then it has to go through the process of advertising several more months, and then, you know, going in front of the ledge. So we could potentially, if we hear in June, we could potentially have a consultant chosen by the end of the year, and they could do the design work, you know, maybe have it finished by, I don't know, spring the following year, or maybe early summer. But I'm thinking construction, not until 2021.
Okay. But obviously, I know, because we've spoken, there's a 7/10 of a mile stretch from Sand Creek Road to Carner Road, and the big decision is whether or not it's going to be 4 lanes or 2 lanes and a turning lane in between, 3.
Right, and
Yeah.
that would all be studied and optimized based on,
In the design phase.
yes, yeah. And there would be public meetings as well. Public input would be very important.
Great. Mr. Miller?
Yeah, just one question. You have on here portable variable message signage for $33,000. We don't own those, or I take it, or
Well,
we don't have enough of them?
we do, but there's no telling at the time. We could possibly be utilizing ours
Okay.
when this goes to construction. So when we put together the estimate for a grant, we have to kind of make sure everything is included.
Okay. And we were buying those, not renting them?
There's no telling at this point. I mean, typically, we would, you know, we have enough right now of our own
Okay.
boards,
Okay.
so I don't know, a couple years down the road.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other members of the committee? Any further comments or points that anyone would like to make? If not, I would entertain a motion. Made by Mr. Moriello, seconded by Mr. Miller. Clerk call the roll, excuse me. Please signify your support by a vote of aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? Carried. Thank you, Commissioner. How about we go on to the next one, which is number 4, authorizing the submission or grant application to the Capital District Transportation Committee for 155, 157 New Carner Road Corridor Rehabilitation Project.
Yes, so this is very similar. It's we're requesting permission to apply for the grant. For this portion of the project, this project is a pavement rehabilitation project along New Carner Road. It runs from US 20 to Watervliet Shaker Road. It's 4.1 miles of roadway rehabilitation, and potentially some optimizing of signal timing.
Mr. Miller?
Is there any intention to put any sidewalks along there, or is that a possibility?
It is a possibility, and it's going to be explored during the design process. We don't know 100% for sure yet, but it is being considered.
Okay. Particularly between Western Avenue and Washington Avenue Extension, I think there might be a need for it there. Okay.
And Mr. Miller brings up a good point, because there are a number of people that get off the bus at Central and New Carner.
Yeah.
And they walk up to the buildings on New Carner Road, so safety is a concern. And optimizing the signals is a great idea, or maybe even doing something to possibly eliminate the signal at Albany Street and New Carner, because that is a long.
Eliminating it? That's the
Well,
first I've
putting in a
heard.
rotary,
Sure.
you know, or something like that would be a good idea. That is a long signal, and when you're there, you do wait for quite some time.
But there's no road widening, right? Additional lanes?
No. It's basically a pavement rehabilitation, yes.
Okay, which pavement rehab process are we using?
Actually, at this point, we don't know. We're going to have cores taken, and they'll determine based on the condition of the cores in the area, whether or not it's going to be full depth replacement in certain locations, or if it could be.
Top coat.
Yeah. I'm sure most of it will be more than top coat for it to get to this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously, the $5 million being requested is
That's good.
sort of a conservative scenario from maximum construction point of view?
Correct. Yeah.
Great. Same kind of timeframes are we talking about as that in the other one? Because they're both the federal tip
Theoretically,
money.
if we were awarded both, we could start them side by side and start RFPs and start the ball rolling side by side.
Okay. Is there any of our county DPW force that would, either from an inspection or oversight point of view, that would be taxed by having two of these going at the same time? You have what you need?
Well, that's a good question, and again, because it's far down the road, we don't know what our other projects are going to be at the same time. But many times for bigger projects, we include construction inspection on the consultant to do that part of it. So we would use our own forces to do what our normal hauling and placing projects would be for that year. We do that inspection, but for some of these bigger projects, we would likely use the consultant to do some of the inspections.
Okay. Any more discussions, questions, comments from the committee or other legislators?
Motion to move it.
Motion by Mr. O'Brien, seconded by Mr. Miller. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Thank you, Commissioner. Now, moving on to the exciting resolution number 465 for 2016, the New York State Department of Transportation regarding snow and ice removal.
Yes.
Would you like to explain this to us?
Are you sure you're ready?
I know, I am.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun learning about it.
Back in the day, I guess this was not necessary. We didn't need to do an Amendment B. Right now, we're requesting to execute Amendment B for the municipal snow and ice agreement with New York State DOT. What DOT does is, they estimate how much salt they think we're going to use each year. And in March, they cut us a check for what that amount is going to be in their minds. Last year, it was $649,000. In actuality, we went through over $1.1 million worth of road materials, labor and equipment expenses. So in order for us to get reimbursed, the portion that's above and beyond what they estimated, they're asking us to execute this Amendment B. And so it's a formality that we need to go through now if our usage is above what their estimated cost is.
So this is very similar in many other contracts that we have in the county. You have a baseline estimate from the state, and then at the end of the year, there's sort of a topping up and a reconciliation of the amounts that you use that they will approve and therefore fund.
Correct.
Okay, so we've already expended this money, so you'll get it back in your, it'll go back into.
It goes into the general fund. We don't get to keep it ourselves.
It goes to the
unfortunately.
D fund.
The D fund? Okay. That's-
Supervising adult sitting next to you. Okay, any questions on our rock salt reconciliation?
Make a motion.
If not, motion by Mr. Miller, second by Mr. Frenier. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Carried. Now, the next rock salt item. Number 6, authorize an agreement with American Rock Salt Company, LLC, regarding the purchase of rolled salt for the control of snow and ice on state and county roads.
Yeah.
Commissioner?
So that's exactly what we're requesting, approval to purchase road salt from the state contract for snow and ice removal on state and county roadways. This year, we estimate to use approximately 21,000 tons, which is close to what we use every year. The price tends to go up each year, though. So the contract price from American Rock Salt is $62.19 per ton. And the funds are coming from our 2018-2019 appropriations, not to exceed $1.3 million.
Okay. How were your inventories at the start of our winter season?
Well, we were lucky because, well, they were good because we received some extra salt in the 2018 season, more toward the end, that got us through up until 2019. So when 2019 happened, we had our new budget and we were able to replenish our stores. So they are good right now.
Even as we sit here on February 5th?
Yes, they are. We don't over-purchase. We purchase just enough, and so that we don't want to overbuy and have it sit there. So
Where does the distribution come from?
I believe it's at the Port of Albany is where it comes from.
Okay. So,
Yep.
so there's a major distribution point there, and various municipalities will buy it under state contract.
Yes, and it gets delivered.
Now, the price at $62 a ton, I understand that is up fairly significantly from the last couple of years.
It was $58 last year, but if you go back like 10 years, it was like $32. So it has increased a lot.
All right. Any questions, members of the committee? Comments?
Just move it.
Moved by Mr. O'Brien, second by Mr. Miller. Please signify your support by voting aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Yes, it is carried. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Belber, welcome.
Thank you.
You didn't introduce yourself at the beginning. Would you like to do that now?
I didn't want to put myself in as a member, so I'm Bob Belber. I'm the general manager of the Times Union Center. On January 4th, I celebrated my 25th year at the building, and I've enjoyed every moment that I've been there. So, nice to meet you all. Some new faces that I haven't seen in a while.
Okay, well, we have a couple of things tonight. We have 2 agenda items, and then we're going to go over the income statements. Let's look at agenda item number 7, authorizing a lease agreement with SEPCU regarding Suite 7 at the Times Union Center.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this is a renewal of a suite agreement that we've had in place for a number of years. SEPCU's been a great partner of the building, sponsor of events and so forth. But their suite just came up for renewal. It would be renewed as of January 1, 2019, extends through December 31 of 2021, continues at the same rate of $48.5 per year.
Okay. Any questions from members of the committee? If not, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Tunney, seconded by Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion is carried. Number 8, authorizing a lease agreement with THEC Forward Incorporated at the Times Union Center. Tech?
Tech Forward.
Is that how?
It's how it's pronounced. It's Tech Forward Incorporated.
Oh, Tech.
It's
Tech
this is a LED video monitor company that produces and installs LED video walls and large screens. The Viaport Aquarium over in Rotterdam has a number of these huge video walls that were installed by Tech Forward. They've also installed a number of similar systems in grocery stores and other retail establishments around the region, not just in this area, but throughout upstate New York and New England. It's a good company. One of the principals also is an IT expert that we've worked with at the arena for the last 7 years. Has actually helped us keep a older Wi-Fi system before we just got the upgrade going, and a good guy. The other issue here is this is in the mezzanine area of the atrium, and it's where the Talk 1300 space was. It is where the Talk 1300 space used to be, and it's on the second level, which makes it a little difficult to attract people that would want to go in there, because the access is a bit difficult when the atrium's not open. The atrium's only open during events or just prior to events starting. It's not open during the day on a normal basis. So people that are coming into that space, have to have access through either security or have one of the people from Tech Board come down and actually meet them at the doors. So because of that, there are some limitations to who would want to take that space. So we're very happy to be able to have the same revenues that Talk 1300 was paying coming to us from this new tenant. And so this is a 3-year proposed lease based on the same rent per square foot and common area maintenance as what Talk 1300 was paying. And I think this would be a good tenant for us.
Any questions from the committee? Mr. O'Brien?
Bob, what was the reason for them, Talk Radio, leaving the arena?
Well, originally Talk 1300 was looking to buy a building somewhere. I think he really wanted his own space, ownership of a building.
Okay.
That was the biggest reason. I really don't think he liked being downtown also. That was a major issue in his mind. It was tough for him to have some of his guests come on the air because of what I just described coming up in when the building is closed. So, certainly we have no bad feelings towards Paul or towards the station. They were a good tenant during the course of the time they were there.
In the hours of operation of this new company,
They're good. They've been a good company that I've seen. I've looked through their personal financial documents as well as their business model and business plan, and it looks very sound to me.
Good. Thank you.
Quick question, Bob. It's a 3-year term. Is there any escalation in the cost of the rent, or is that flat for the entire 3 years?
There's no escalation in the rent for the 3 years. However,
there a renewal?
There's a mutual option for an additional 3 years with an escalation.
And what is the escalation in the contract, or is it?
It will be in the contract at $1 per square foot additional rent.
Okay, so basically an 8% increase.
Yeah.
From $13.50 to whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Any additional comments, concerns, members of the committee? If not, I would entertain a motion. Moved by Mr. O'Brien, seconded by Mr. Moriallo. Those in favor, please signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Lease is authorized to go to the floor. Okay, the last item on the agenda is a briefing by Mr. Belber on the annual report for the Times Union Center, which I think we are handing around handout as we speak.
Actually, what you're handing around is basically just a highlight annual report that kind of shows a comparison to the past 2 years as it relates to expenses and operating costs, as well as revenues and net profits to the building and to the county. For the year-end 2018, very happy with the year-end results. We ended up with a net operating profit of $1,572,990, which after all expenses as well as SMG fees nets down for the county's bottom line to $1,121,151, which is up from last year. Last year we provided the county with $948,761, and it's ahead of budget, which was the budget number was $861,363. So we had a real good year. as compared to last year and budget. And the current calendar that we have looking forward into 2019, I'm very optimistic that we're going to have a good year again. I think this year coming could be the best year for concerts that I've seen in the last 20 years. Not only do we have a lot of concerts, the concerts that we have are big, big shows that are all going to, not all, but a good number of them are going to sell out, and they're going to be very high revenue generators for the bottom line for the county.
The MAC tournament.
And we have the last year of the MAC tournament. We have the NCAA women's basketball, and we have the first ever Aurora Games, which is going to be a very big event with ESPN broadcast for 5 consecutive nights, 3 hours of primetime broadcast, not only domestically but internationally. And Albany County will have an opportunity to be seen. We've got vignette videos that they're going to include for the county within the broadcasts, within each of the broadcasts nightly, so that we can literally put in there that Albany County is a great place to work, live, play, et cetera. And so the production of that video is something that we're going to, work very hard on to make sure that you're proud of what that has in it.
Bob, I noticed that when you look at the event load, obviously the number that goes down is the sporting events, obviously from the loss of
With the loss of the hockey team.
hockey.
Yeah.
Now, how is as a season holder of arena football tickets, how is that going this year?
That was so exciting this past year. I don't know how many people might have in the room might have seen some of the games, but we had an average of about 9,300 people per game, which is just a huge number for the first season for any team. And so I think the community has embraced this team, the Albany Empire, much the same as they embraced the old Albany Firebirds. And I think that this community knows the difference with this, with the quality of the athletes that are playing at this level, where they're going directly from arena football. A couple of the players, actually, one from our team, another 3, I think, from other teams, literally went right to the NFL teams and got signed by NFL teams, and they're playing now in the NFL. So this is a breeding ground for talent for the NFL, and that's the way it was back in the Firebirds as well. So I think we're going to have a great year in year 2. They announced that Atlantic City is the 5th team in the league. They're going to announce, I think, this week, another 6th team that's going to be in, and will actually be in, surprisingly, starting this season. So they'll have 6 teams this season, and then there's as many as 6 teams that are all lined up that want to go in for the 2020 season. So the AFL league is getting bigger and stronger, and if they have 12 teams in 2020, I think we're going to be in great shape.
Okay, great. Art, just your suite sales, are all the suites full, booked?
All the suites are leased. We have a waiting list right now of about 21 companies. And we've been sold out with suites now for the last 12 years. And it's, knock on wood, it's been a good scenario.
Great. Any questions or comments from members of the committee?
The Aurora Games, that's in the summer?
Yes, that's going to be from the 20th to the 25th of August.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's on the same week as Traverse intentionally.
Yep.
And they felt that that was a great time prior to the Traverse to be able to have consecutive days while a lot of people from outside this market are in the area. And so that's going to, I think, be a great week, where usually it would be dark. We wouldn't have much of anything in that time period. And the sports that are involved in the Aurora Games, and I hope I can catch them all, but they're gymnastics, figure skating, women's ice hockey, tennis, basketball, and beach volleyball. So there's 6 different sports. Times Union Center is the only facility being used, so we're going to switch over nightly from one sport to the next. So we're going to have our hands full. We've got a lot of work to get it done, but we're confident that that can happen. We hope.
And I know the new schedule that's being promoted by NYRA, there's 2 dark days, Monday and Tuesday, which will help, I would hope, with the attendance.
Right, and actually on the Traverse Day, there's nothing that will take place while the Traverse race itself is going off.
Yeah.
So figure skating is going to be in the afternoon on that Saturday. It'll probably be from about 1 to 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then it'll be over. And we scheduled it that way intentionally because the last sport on Sunday is going to be beach volleyball. So from figure skating to beach volleyball, we've got to take the ice out, build the beach volleyball courts on concrete once the ice is out. And that takes some time. So with the last event on Saturday ending at about 4, gives us enough time to be able to be set up for late morning on Sunday for beach volleyball.
Wow, fast turnaround.
Yeah.
Any further questions or concerns? This doesn't require any action. We thank you very much for your report.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We look forward to hearing from you in the future to deal with the needs of the youth center. Otherwise, I would accept a motion for adjournment. Made by Mr. Miller, seconded by Mr. Moriello. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.